Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome or welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game Deadlock. I'll be going over characters in alphabetical order from Abrams to Yamato. I'll be covering their lore and personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their design. Please do keep in mind that everything I talk about is subject to change at a later date, as that's just the nature with a game like Deadlock that is still actively being developed. And if you wish to play Deadlock for yourself, I shall throw my Steam name up on screen, and you just have to subscribe and send me a friend request and I'll send you a code. Very bad plug I know, but we keep it going. And please do keep in mind that it takes about 1 to 2 days for a code to send through, sometimes it may take longer. So please, just be patient, the code will come eventually. But with all of that said, our object of obsession for today is a woman whose innocence absolutely stuns me, considering the world of Deadlock. That being none other than Paige. Now, as I like to do in all of these videos thus far into this series, I'd like to start by reading off her in-game background and discussing some little lore tidbits about her. But with that said, her in-game background reads as such. The daughter of a rare book dealer, Paige grew up in a loving home that prioritized kindness, magic, and storytelling. But while Paige took naturally to her parents' values, her little brother Bryce did not. A rebellious teen, Bryce resented not only his family's saccharine attitude, but also their refusal to let him dabble in magics that they deemed too dangerous. Paige tried everything she could think of to keep him out of trouble, but like most teenagers, the more his big sister tried to tell him what was best for him, the more he turned away. Paige doesn't know what Bryce did to get kicked out of the house, just that she came home from the library to find her brother gone and her parents crying. Days turned to weeks, to months, to years. Paige grew to become a talented bibliomancer, making a living as a storyteller reading at libraries across the 5 boroughs. And while her parents have remained silent about what happened with Bryce, Paige's obsession with finding him has only grown. She will discover what happened to her brother, and no man or god is going to stand in her way. Right, let's get a little fan theory out of the way, or into this video immediately. There is a common theory amongst people that, obviously play this game, that Billy might be Paige's sibling. Can I see it? Yeah, probably. Considering that Bryce in Paige's lore is obviously, as I just said, described as, rebellious in a sense, and I doubt that rebellion really stopped after getting kicked out of the house. And I'm going to be honest, maybe Paige's parents deem coming home with a goat head for a head is kick out of the house worthy. And, I mean, sure, the two of them have interactions between each other, and I will play one of them in a moment, but I think the main reason why I personally believe that Billy is Paige's brother is mostly because, Viper knows who Paige's brother is, and I'll play an interaction between two of them as well, because I need to make a point about how innocent Paige is amongst the rest of the cast. But Viper seems to know who Bryce is, and, I mean, Billy and Viper know each other rather closely, in fact, even though obviously Viper seems to more be there for a hookup than anything else, but I can't blame you. Sure, whatever, Viper, you do you, girl. But yeah, there is a line when Viper kills Paige where she describes her brother as more fun, and that Bryce told her that Paige was wound up tight. So yeah, Viper knows who Bryce is. Viper knows who Paige's brother is, and knows that Paige is the sibling to that person that she's met. And yet, is she not gonna tell her? Is she not gonna tell her, oh yeah, I know your brother? What? Viper? Help a girl out! What are you doing? But if it is Billy, I mean, that's kind of funny, I suppose. Would be our first... Is that our first, actually in-game siblings? I don't know any other characters in the game that are actually, related by blood to one another. Obviously, every character just seems to know everyone else, but, of course, there are actually I don't think there's any blood relations between any of these characters in any way, shape, or form, not even, son to father or siblings, etc., etc. But yeah, I think the idea that Billy is actually Bryce is, that's a cool enough little twist. Though I think Viper needs to get her shit together and actually, tell Paige, oh yeah, I know your brother. No, he's not dead, don't worry. Like, Paige is panicking over it, going to the patrons to figure out what happened to her brother. And Viper's like, oh yeah, I know him. Girl, come on, Viper, wake up, please. But as I mentioned earlier, I would now like to play an interaction between Paige and Billy, because I think, Paige can be quite funny. Paige, as per the video title, I'm sure, is very innocent amongst the cast. Like every other character in the cast, in some way, shape, or form, has a relation to crime in some way. Like, you could literally go through every character, and in some way, shape, or form, they've either had a traumatic experience happen to them, or are actively in crime, or have interacted with crime in some way. But Paige is just not. She's just not connected to any, like, criminal organizations. Like, the most she's probably had to do with crime is, like, reading it in a book. And even then, I have a feeling that someone like Paige would probably get scared of it. But that's me obviously presuming things. She's an incredibly innocent character. But before I, go on that tangent even further, I did say I would like to play an interaction between her and Billy, because I think it's just kind of funny. And before I do, I would like to say yeah, this is the words. They're very difficult. Their voice actor, or her voice actor, we do know who it is, and her name is Jacqueline Emerson, who, per her IMDb page, is known for The Hunger Games, Winter, Spring, Summer or Fall, High Potential, and The Wine Club. I know nothing that she's been in. It said she was in Starfield, and I hated that game. I despised it with every fabric of my being. So, she does a good job though. Like, as Paige, she does a very, very good job at selling this sort of, like, innocent character. Like, she just kind of sounds like a librarian. Do you get what I mean? Like, I know you can't really, like, sound like a librarian, but you kind of understand what I mean. Like, she kind of sounds like the sort of person you'd see in a library, like, reading a book to a kid. It just kind of works. I don't have, like, a in-depth reason of why her voice really works as Paige, but it just does. I'm sure you understand what I mean. But anyways, enough of my preamble. I would like to now play the interaction between her and Billy.
There's a Shakespeare festival next weekend.
You think I give a shit about some snob that wrote in Middle English?
Well, he didn't write in Middle English, but that's a whole nother thing. Point is, everyone loves Midsummer Night's Dream, and you would basically be their king.
Maybe I'll check him out.
That's probably the only interaction in the entire game where Billy isn't just, like, straight up antagonistic for the entire thing. Like, he actually said, maybe I'll check him out. He actually gave a positive response. Incredible, Billy. I have to give you a round of applause. But yeah, you can kind of, do you hear what I mean? Like, in the way she speaks, she just kind of sounds like a librarian. And as per her mention in that interaction, she mentions in multiple different stuff about, the books that she reads. Most of her abilities are references to Arthurian legends. So King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, etc. She obviously referenced just then Midsummer Night's Dream, which is, William Shakespeare play? I don't know what you would call it. She also, though, references a book known as Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have never heard of this book in my entire life, but that's because I don't read. Yeah, I actually can't read. Sorry, guys. I'm illiterate. Sorry. Moving on to some other tidbits about her, and before I return to the innocent thing, she, for some reason, references herself as Patience in a few voice lines. There's one voice line for Grey Talon where he calls her Patience, and there's another voice line where she's, like, returning to base on low health, where she also calls herself Patience, even though her name is Paige. So I don't know what that's about. Who knows? Maybe she has two names. Maybe it's a fake name. If it's a fake name, having your fake name be Patience is pretty damn bad. Besides the real-world novels that I referenced a moment ago, she's also read Kelvin's books on his adventures, as well as books about the Baxter Society. She actually, I didn't even know that. I made that comparison just a moment ago about how she sounds like the type of person to read books to kids. On the Deadlock wiki, Paige reads books to kindergartners. Incredible. I see, my predictions are just out of this world. I didn't even know that before doing this. And another tidbit about her is that she describes her brother Bryce as a curmudgeon, which I did not know what that word meant, but it means a bad-tempered person. in brackets, especially an old one. But that obviously, that last part doesn't apply to Bryce because we know that, you know, she's his older sister, or he's her younger brother. Yep, got it. And this leads into the next interaction I will play, and I'm sure most of you knew I was going to play this. Paige likes heroic men and has a crush on Mirage, Shiv, and Victor, even though in another voice line, as per I mentioned in the Mirage video, she says that Mirage is better than Shiv. So, don't know what to say about that, but that little bit at the end. Who was that last character I mentioned? Victor. Yeah, we're going to play the interaction. You know, I'm going to play it right now. I'm not even going to give you any preamble.
You know, earlier I made a joke about Byronic heroes, but seeing you here makes it less of a joke and more like I made my high school diary come to life.
Thanks.
Never put on a shirt.
You got it.
Actual freak. She's actually, just like Mina, she is a freak for Victor. Oh, okay, maybe Mina's not like a freak for Victor. She kind of gives him vague compliments, but no, Paige is a freak. Like, you know how Viper really loves Lash? Let's just put Paige in that similar sort of camp for Victor specifically. And for those that don't know, aka me, I had to look it up because I didn't actually know what it meant. A Byronic hero is a man who is proud, moody, cynical, with defiance on his brow and misery in his heart, a scorner of his kind, something revenge, but he is capable of deep, strong affection. Basically, a tough boy who has a big heart. Right? That's basically what that means, right? I'm not stupid for saying that. So yes, that is Paige's type, a Byronic hero. Someone that looks tough, looks moody and stuff like that, but has the heart to love and cheesy things like that. But, I mean, Paige is a book nerd. I'm not really super surprised that she's into moody, emo boy Victor. I know emos didn't exactly exist in the 1950s, but, you know, if Victor can be the first, right? We can put that little badge on his chest. Actually, let's not do that. He's not wearing a shirt. Well, Paige is going to complain about that. But just to round out this segment and return to something I mentioned earlier, Paige is incredibly innocent. She doesn't really seem to... she's not really, as I said, not really involved in anything crime-related. And it results in, you know, some kind of funny interactions. Like, sometimes she'll be shocked when she kills someone, which is kind of funny. It's funny to have a character that's not, like, used to violence in a game where, you know, you're fighting each other and shooting each other, etc., etc. And to prove my point that she is relatively innocent, I'm going to now play an interaction between her and the freak snake woman, Viper.
Oh, you killed it at Pole Palace last night.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, me neither.
Seriously, what are you talking about?
Cinnamon, come on. It's me.
Who's Cinnamon?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I confused you with a very different librarian.
What are you talking about?
You are too pure for this world. I kind of love it.
Viper said it. Viper said it herself. She is too pure for this world. At least when it comes to, you know, interacting with someone like Viper, who's, I mentioned it a few times, but she's kind of a freak with a capital F. Probably a capital everything, actually. Yeah. Paige, unlike the majority of characters in the game who would understand what Viper was talking about, she is just completely oblivious. Like, she doesn't Viper just then, as you heard, tried to hint at what she meant like 4 or 5 times. Not once did it actually click with Paige on what she was talking about. She's incredibly innocent, and I think that's very funny. I like the contrast to the rest of the cast, because everyone else, as I said, has some interaction with crime or stuff like that, but Paige just doesn't. So it results in, you know, some kind of funny interactions and reactions to different things. But with those little tidbits and stuff done and dusted, I would like to now move on to talking about her gameplay. Please do keep in mind though, for this section I'll be recording in OBS for audio and visuals as well, so if my voice sounds a little bit different, that's exactly why. But with that said, I'm now going to move on to her abilities and her gameplay. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range to talk about Paige's gameplay. But before I talk about her gun or her abilities, I just want to mention how squishy Paige is. As you can see on the screen here, she has 2 stamina bars and 600 health. The only other character in the game, or the only other characters in the game who have 2 stamina bars, to my knowledge, are Mina and McGinnis. Both of those characters have ways to kind of keep themselves afloat, even if they are out of stamina. I mean, Mina has her 2, where she can obviously disappear into a cloud of bats and fly around. McGinnis, for the most part, very rarely is going to need to be up close and personal, so she has a wall as well if she needs it. But man, Paige can get seriously caught out. She's really squishy. Like, if her abilities are off, like, on cooldown, wow, she can get obliterated. I just want to mention that immediately. Like, she can get caught, like, quite badly, especially by anyone that wants to get up close and personal, because her abilities have kind of awkward casting stuff. But anyways, I'm getting too ahead of myself. So, let us start with her weapon, known as Chapter's End. And yes, she does one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a shooter. Shooter. That just sounds weird coming out of my British mouth. Anyways, she shoots words out of a book. That's awesome. I know it's like actually triangles, but she shoots words out of a book, and I think that's sick as shit. And when she reloads, she literally flips to a new page and all the words come back into the book. That is cool as hell. That's probably the second coolest weapon in this game. Besides, Infernus literally shooting a finger gun. I think nothing's probably ever going to beat Infernus, I don't think. Finger gun is too damn cool. I love the way that he like flicks his hand to reload. But Paige is a close second, right? Now, speaking of this gun, actually, it's really bad. Like, okay. At a basic level, level 1, when you're in lane, collecting souls, this thing sucks. It really, really sucks. Look at this projectile speed. This is awful. I've mentioned this a few times, just a few, but every character in this game has practically got a hit scan weapon. There's none of them are truly hit scan. It's just that the projectile speed is so high, you wouldn't even notice that it wasn't. Paige has like the slowest projectile speed in the entire game. Like, oh my god, this thing moves at a snail's pace. I'm not joking. High velocity rounds is a must buy. This thing has such bad projectile speed. This item is a must buy. Look, this is a gun build, right? And I'll mention that in a minute, what I think of that. But like, if I go to this crazy spirit meta, but wow, look what's right there. High velocity rounds, so is rapid rounds as well, because the fire rate on this thing sucks, and the speed of how fast the actual like triangles go out sucks. It sucks in lane. It's an absolute struggle to actually like secure souls at times, especially from a longer distance, which, hey, fun fact, that's where you're going to be playing Paige most of the time, because she doesn't really excel in up close personal combat. However, although I have just dissed the gun to high heaven, this thing can be surprisingly nasty if you build into it, because obviously this is Deadlock. You buy items to make yourself stronger. So a lot of the weaknesses of this weapon, such as its slow fire rate and its slow projectile speed, can be mediated with high velocity rounds or, the rapid fire rounds. But the reason why, like, all of her abilities, right, are literally just solely spirit stuff. Like, every single one of them scales with spirit, does extra damage with spirit, more healing with spirit, etc., etc. But, right, just hear me out. Your gun, if you build into the gun, do some scary shit. Like, it's because of this. Split shot is an item that allows your weapon to fire multi-shot. Hitting more than one hero per attack will grant a stacking weapon damage bonus. And to show what that looks like, this is what it looks like normally. I press Z. It turns into a shotgun of 5 blasts. Now, if I were to buy express shot or like ricochet, burst fire, all of these lovely gun items, right? And then I press split shot. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, Paige, if built into gun, is still probably not going to be as effective, like as a spirit build would be, but it is possible. Otherwise, her gun is very not good. It's too slow. Like, it doesn't shoot quick enough. The bullets don't travel quick enough. It is just good enough to get you through the laning phase okay-ish, to then allow you to buy spirit items and blah blah blah. Or, as I just showed, maybe gun items. Maybe you wish to do Paige gun. Maybe you want to take the worst part of her and just turn it into something great. Which, admittedly, I have played a few games where a Paige has just run up on me, blasted me with about 20 arrows, and I've just died. Yeah, I can't even deny that Paige gun builds can be very scary. But, moving on from her gun, we have her first ability, known as Conjure Dragon. If you have one charge, or if you have multiple charges, there is an 8-second cooldown between them. There's a 4-meter radius, I believe, and a 5-second duration. It has a 30-second cooldown, and you conjure a dragon that appears at the target location before flying forward, dealing spirit damage and leaving a burning trail in its path. That initial hit from the dragon does 60 damage, the damage per second of the trail is 30 damage per second, and the trail duration is 3 seconds. The dragon can travel for 20 meters. So the 4 meters thing is just the radius of, yeah, it's the circle that shows up. Now, as you can see here, when I press 1, you will see a targeting sort of reticle. Fun fact, that didn't exist when she came out. There was not a targeting reticle when she came out. You would literally just throw the book wherever you were looking, and all caution thrown to the wind. Wherever that book went, that's where the dragon was going to go. But just to show what it does, if you press 1, you press 1, you show the targeting reticle, and if you press throw, you throw a book out, and then the dragon will appear, traveling in a straight line and burning this sort of green fire path in its wake. Now, this thing can be kind of weird, like trajectory wise. Like, say for example, what do you think is going to happen if I throw it right into this wall? Why does the dragon bounce like that? Why does he bounce? Why does he decide? I'm going to go sideways. What? Hello? Like, if I throw it at this wall, and this dragon just works kind of weirdly. Like, in 99% of scenarios where you're going to use it, you really want it to just be a straight line. Like, in what world does throwing it at a wall make it decide I am going to, like, how did it get this, like, sort of deduction that it should do a 360? This dragon just works very, very weirdly. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, if I were to say throw it at a wall, it would, you know, go in the opposite direction of where it hit the wall. Like, so normally, obviously, as I just showed, throw it at the wall, it will go in the opposite direction towards me. If I throw it at this wall, it would go in the opposite direction towards me. But if I throw it and it hits the wall, it just decides, I'm going to go right. Huh? Hello? Like, because you can throw it at a ceiling. Like, if you threw it at the ceiling, it would just, you know, go normally. I forgot this is a punching dummy. That scared the shit out of me. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't expect him to start throwing hands. But yeah, this dragon just kind of works in a weird way. Like, if I throw it at this wall and he like, why do you get this decision? Like, throw it at the wall, you go, he like tries to like curve along the wall. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of a weird ability. But moving on from its weird trajectory stuff, the actual ability itself is quite strong because, well, it does good damage. It does a good initial burst hit of damage, and then it does 30 damage over time. It's very good in lane because you can just straight up deny a section of the lane with the dragon, assuming it goes in the right direction. It does, you know, decent damage in lane, like that initial 60 hit. That's quite good. That's quite good. And sometimes if you are in lane, you can just kind of lob it into their, like where their shop is, and then force them to come out lest they take that damage. But late game, this will be your main damage dealer. Like if you do a spirit build, of course, like say we go to this build, this is what I like to use personally. Because this is your ability that gets extra charge, you can obviously apply extra charges of it. You can increase the range of it. You could increase the duration of the actual fire that it leaves behind. You increase the recharge rate. Like, you can be throwing these out every so often. Like this ability here, Mystic Reverb, you could put this on the dragon as well, where it makes your ability apply a slow on target hit. And if I remember rightly, that should apply to even the fire trail. So anyone that steps in the fire trail would be affected by Mystic Slow, which is, you know, decently potent. So yeah, this ability is very good. It will be probably your main damage dealer. And I'm going to be real, a lot of Paige's kit kind of kind of works in tandem with one another. You can't just like throw this ability out just kind of raw. Like, I'm going to be honest, you can't just lob this thing. I would argue it's way better to kind of try and set it up, and I will discuss the whole setting up process once we get to her third ability. But in the meantime, her second ability is known as Defend and Fight. Actually, wait, no. Why am I moving on to the second ability? I haven't even covered the upgrades for the first one. Am I stupid? Wow, I've been away for like 3 days and suddenly I forget how to make videos. Incredible. But yeah, on Conjure Dragon's first upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 5 seconds, bring it down to 25. On the second upgrade, you increase the trail duration by 2 seconds, bring it to 5 seconds. And on the third upgrade, you increase the damage by 115 and the DPS, so damage per second, by 30, bringing your actual damage to 175 and your damage per second to 60. By the way, both of those damage instances scale with Spirit. Everything in her kit scales with Spirit outside of a gun, so yeah. This thing, as I said, is going to be your main damage dealer, and it will do a lot of damage. But with that said, we move on to our second ability known as Defend and Fight. It has a 35 meter range, a 5-second duration, and a 26-second cooldown. You grant an ally a barrier. While the barrier holds, they gain bonus weapon damage. The barrier's health at base is 200, and it scales with Spirit, and the extra weapon damage is 25% at base, which also scales with Spirit, much to my surprise. Now, I've mentioned this a few times. Paige is probably the biggest definition of pseudo support. Everyone else in this game is some way, like, there's a few pseudo supports. Kelvin is a pseudo support because his ice grenade can heal. Viscous can be a pseudo support because of the cube. McGinnis can be a pseudo support because of her medicinal spectre. Dynamo, pseudo support because of rejuvenating aurora. Paige is also a pseudo support. She can do some serious damage with her stuff, but a lot of her things kind of are designed in a way to support your team in some way, shape, or form. She is a backline support, very much so. As I said, she's quite squishy. She only has 2 stamina bars, so she can get really caught out if someone tries to jump her when she's like 20 miles behind the team helping them out. And the barrier is a good example of how she can help out the team. 25% bonus weapon damage is nothing to scoff at, especially if she throws that barrier on Haze or Vindicta or Drifter. Drifter's nasty. Them two together, like Drifter with a few stacks of his passive, as well as like, you know, the weapon barrier. Whew, he's dealing like 75% extra weapon damage. Like, Drifter and Paige are a nasty combo. I had to fight them in a lane once. Wow, Drifter shredded me. It wasn't even funny. Second that shield goes on him, he just obliterates you. But just to show what it looks like, you get like this very large cone. Like, you can cast this from like ages away. Like, look, that's quite a good distance away. Like, you can cast this onto your teammate as you're running to them to help them. And it, you know, once you click the activate button though, you will throw the barrier on them. They have like little swords and shields around them. Obviously a subtle reference to Arthurian legend. And they will get that bonus weapon damage, which, how would I even show that? Funny enough, by the way, if you press the middle mouse button, I don't know why it doesn't actually say it in the description, you can cast it on yourself. As I said, Paige doesn't really benefit from the weapon damage. Of course, you can do the weapon build. I already went into this, but in most scenarios, the barrier will be used to, you know, save yourself or protect yourself as the enemies are pushing or something. But of course, its main use is, you know, giving it to a teammate so they can do more damage and, you know, get a bit of extra survivability. But on its first upgrade, you increase the barrier's strength by 50, bringing it to 250 at base. On the second upgrade, you, on barrier, give your ally or yourself an extra 25% fire rate, which, by the way, does not scale with Spirit. So that is a flat 25% fire rate, which, of course, as I've already said, will make characters that specialize in gun stuff even better. Now Drifter's shooting 25% faster. Haze is shooting 25% faster. You already get the gist of it. And on the third upgrade, you are able to provide 2 additional allies and 75% barrier, which, I mean, that's just really dumb. Like, if you cast it on yourself, the barrier will bounce between you and 2 other people. So now 3 people are getting extra fire rate, extra weapon damage, which scales with Spirit, mind you, so that weapon damage can climb and climb as the game goes on, and now 3 people have that. That's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. Say your team consists of someone like, again, Drifter, Haze, where is she? Haze, and I don't know, maybe a 7 that's doing a gun build. I mean 7 can't really do a gun build because all of his gun damage is spirit damage most of the time. But yeah, like Vindictor, Haze, and Drifter. You give a barrier to all three of them. What, they're getting like 50% extra weapon damage, 25% fire. You get the idea. You can just help your teammates shred people. I mean, as I said, she can do a gun build, so this does actually kind of help her as well, because she can just put it on herself and just shoot faster, do some stupid, like, this is why this gun, like, why the gun build that I showed earlier, you know, I'm actually, after this video, I'm gonna go use this gun build, so I'm gonna favorite this. Like, if you're using this gun build, you'll notice, look, there's spirit stuff here, and that is most likely to allow this to scale higher, so you get the higher weapon damage bonus from it, which, you know, makes sense. More weapon damage for a gun build, win-win. But anyways, moving on to her third ability is known as Captivating Read. It has a 30-meter radius, or range radius, and a 7-meter something. There is no icon next to the thing, it just says 7 meters. Incredible. I want to say that it's, I don't know what that actually could mean. 30-meter cast? Oh, right. It's probably 30 meters, like, cast distance, and then a 7-meter radius. I feel like there should be a radius thing there. Here's a 30-second cooldown, and you target an area with latent magic, applying a slow. The magic detonates after a delay, dealing spirit damage and applying Immobilize. The minus penalty to move speed is 45%. On hit, it does 120 damage at base, which scales with spirit, and the immobilization is 1.25 seconds. Now, Immobilize makes it so you can, you know, fight back, you can shoot and, you know, use any ability that isn't, you know, a movement ability, but yeah, you immobilizes, you can't move, whether that be dashing, jumping, sprinting, abilities that help you move, like, say, Abrams's charge or Lash's whip. And this is what I meant by you can set yourself up. So, as you can see, you're able to target an area with a circle, and then when you cast it, it will create this sort of green slowing arena, and after a while, the sword will stab into the stone. Get it? Another Arthurian reference. And as you saw, once it actually steps into or stabs into the stone, the enemies will have this sort of like the green rocky effect around their legs, and when they are hit with that green rock effect, they are unable to like move. Just to show that effect, by the way. Slowed in it, then you can't move at all. This allows you, the immobilization of course, allows you to set yourself up. So for example, you cast this, you cast your dragon, and now they are forced to stand in the fire of your dragon, you know, for the time that the immobilization hits. And of course, you can affect this ability with stuff such as, well, Mystic Expansion, Duration Extender. So, of course, if you added Mr. Expansion? Huh? If you added Greater Expansion or Mystic Expansion, it would make the radius of the circle wider, allowing you to hit more enemies. And the Duration Extender obviously would increase the amount of time that they are, you know, immobilized for, allowing you to have a bigger opportunity to do damage to them with the dragon or your ult. Or, you know, this is a supportive ability as well. You're allowed to immobilize enemies to allow your teammates to, you know, do damage to them. It's very helpful for characters that, you know, need to aim. Someone like Holiday really loves, like, what's it called again? Captivating Read. Like, Holiday loves Captivating Read because the enemies can't move, so she can just shoot them in the head. She can just get free crack shots off. And Haze, of course, would also benefit immensely from it, because Fixation allows her to do, you know, more damage per bullet, and it stacks quicker on headshots. But honestly, anyone would benefit from this, like, because the enemy is forced to stand still. You're able to combine Captivating Read with almost like anything. Like, of course, the next video in the series will be on Paradox. Paradox, for example, can use Pulse Grenade. She throws Pulse Grenade whilst they're stuck in Captivating Read. If they're doing a bomb build, whoa, Pulse Grenade will absolutely obliterate them. Literally anyone can benefit from it. I don't think there's any, like, every character in some way, shape, or form has an AoE, at least to my knowledge. I mean, I guess, does everyone have an AoE? I don't think Drifter technically has an AoE. I'm probably wrong, but everyone can benefit from it. Like, Drifter, for example, doesn't have an AoE, but well, he loves getting up close and personal and blasting you to bits. So, and then being stuck in place, well, that's a pretty good thing for him. And what can she do before he starts stacking? Give him a barrier. Whoa! But anyways, on the first upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 6 seconds, bringing it down to 24. On the second upgrade, you increase the immobilization duration by Wow, try say that 5 times fast. Immobilization duration, whoa. You increase it by 0.75 seconds, bring it to 2 seconds. And on the third upgrade, on hit, reduce spirit resist by 18% for 6 seconds. Which of course helps you, you know, kind of use your combo of Captivating Read plus the dragon. And the immobilization duration being 2 seconds. 2 seconds is a long time in Deadlock. Like, let's not get that twisted. Like, they get immobilized. They basically have to sit there and just take, what, that was like 500 damage basically from the dragon at base. Obviously, you know, I say at base, that's obviously with upgrades into both of them. But still, like, this is probably her best ability in my opinion, mostly because it can actually just shred. Like, if you capture multiple people in it and you have teammates to help you, yeah, death? Probably death. It's like 2 seconds, you need to understand how much can happen in 2 seconds. Like, Dynamo could jump in and use his ult. Wow, now everyone's just stuck for like 5 seconds straight. Lady Guys can throw a bomb. Kelvin can throw a bomb. Or beam everyone, because his beam can chain to multiple people. Paradox throw a bomb. Viscous goo. Victor just stand in the middle of everyone. Like, this ability just works and combines with everyone and can be comboed into other things. Like, you could get everyone stuck and then Lash pulls everyone up and then throws them down. Like, this stun, immobilize, stun, etc, etc. Like, this ability allows you to set up wombo combos with other people or yourself because of Conjure Dragon. And your fourth ability, see that segue, which is known as Rallying Charge, is a 0.7 second, is that channel time, I believe? A 600 meter range? 600? Whoa, I did not know it had a 600 meter range. That's the biggest range of any ability in the game. What? 600? Wow, okay. It has a 13-second duration and an 190-second cooldown. You release a wave of spectral knights and steeds that charge across the entire city. Yep, there's the 600 meters. Healing allies and dealing spirit damage to enemies. On enemy hit, you do 150 damage and you stun them for 1 second. And on friendly hit, you heal them for 150 and grant them 5 meters per second move speed. The buff duration lasting for 9 seconds. I didn't actually know it healed, I'm going to be completely honest. I thought this thing was just like an offensive tool that could, you know, damage enemies and stun them and then your team follows up on you. But as you can probably tell, that further emphasizes the whole backline support playstyle that Paige is kind of going for. Because if you cast this ability at the back of the team, you're not only going to be healing your entire team, you're going to be giving them move speed, as well as dealing damage to the entire enemy team and stunning them. And just to show what the ability actually looks like, you press 4 and you'll do like a little twirl and you'll shoot out just a wave of horses. And if they hit an enemy, they'll be knocked up into the air and stunned for 1 second. I don't know why it doesn't, why does it not say it knocks up? Because that is, stun and knock up are different. Like, if they were just stunned, it'd be like how, you know, like 7. When you get stunned by him, you just kind of like wobble on place. But no, it does knock up and stun simultaneously. I feel like that should be stated in the description somewhere. But yeah, say you're like literally at the very, very back of the team and you just launch this. Like, you're going to be giving everyone a, you know, move speed boost, heal, and knocking up every single enemy and stunning them. Win-win. And on its first upgrade, you increase the heal amount by 150, bringing it to 300, further emphasizing the sort of, or incentivizing the backline playstyle of just shooting this thing out into both your and their team. On the second upgrade, you increase the width of the steeds by 4, and on the third upgrade, you increase the damage by 150, bringing it to 300 at base, and you increase the stun by 0.5 seconds, bringing it to 1.5 seconds. And just to show what that second upgrade looks like and what it means by increase the width, you'll now shoot out an extra 2 sort of horses either side, which would now allow you to hit even more enemies or heal even more allies. Yeah, I like Paige's kit. Paige's kit is very good, and as I said earlier, Captivating Read can obviously be comboed into her ult as well. So like, you can get them, you could theoretically have them stunned and then like stuck in place, like just as an example. Bang, bang, bang. You know, not bad damage, all things considered. And you have to remember, of course, you would be buying many spirit items in most scenarios, of course. You can do gun build, of course. But my preferred way to play her is Spirit. And yeah, Paige is very good as a support, I would argue. She can obviously do a lot of respectable damage in her own right. She can make her teammates way better with defend and fight. She can heal all of them with rallying charge, because remember, the heal and damage scales off of Spirit. So if you're getting a bunch of Spirit damage, you know, you're going to be healing way more. You could do like, I don't know, 1,000 on the horse's heal or something. Like 1,000 to every single team member and God knows how much damage, and a stun to every enemy. I'd say that's a win. And of course, she is kind of designed in a way that helps her team kind of capitalize on her abilities, like captivating read, as I said. You can lock them down and then just let your teammates go to work. She's very good. Like, she does very respectable damage, considering that she is basically a backline support. She kind of just disrupts the enemies, forces them where she wants them to be, locks them down wherever she needs them to be, and of course can heal and give barriers and such and such. I like Paige's kit. I find it very fun. However, I do find it very odd that when I play Deadlock and I queue for every single character in the game, everyone is selected, no one is prioritized, they just keep giving me Paige. I've had to take her off my roster because I queued up for 5 games, like 4 days ago, right? 5 games. I had every character selected. 4 out of the 5 were Paige. Stop making me play her. Stop it. I don't want I like Paige. I think she's fun. I don't want to play her 4 games in a row. Seriously, you could have picked anyone else. Lash, McGinnis, Marat, anyone else. But no, Paige 4 times. Play Paige 4 times. I had to make up builds on the spot. I was like, man, I'm not playing Spirit build again. But yeah, Paige is a very fun character, even if they keep trying to give me her. Actually, I've just realized, is she I thought for a second she was shooting out her bookmark. She's not. She's still just shooting out arrows from her book. But yeah, Paige's gameplay is fun. I enjoy her abilities. They're simple, easy to understand, even if the dragon is kind of awkward. I mean, you can do some cool things with the dragon, right? Like if you throw it really high up, it will be able to, like, you know... by the way, actually, that's a good show. The initial damage burst is where that beam is. So say, for example, I throw it above his head. I don't think he would take the initial... Yeah, look. He doesn't take the initial... It doesn't actually cast the fire on the ground. So there is actually a height limit to how high you can have the dragon be. Okay, that's good to show, actually. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, I like Paige's kit. Find it fun, interesting. Does good damage, good support, etc., etc. I've already said enough. I'm sure you're bored of me. But with that said, we're now going to smoothly move into talking about her design. She is a librarian. Definitely a librarian through and through. This is like, pardon the pun, textbook librarian, or cliche librarian, trope of a librarian. Turtleneck sweater, big round glasses, big poofy hair tied up in a very large bun. Just, and how many books is that? 1, 2, 5. She has 5 books she's holding 5. I really like that character design choice, that she's like carrying and stacking books in her arms while she's like fighting. I think that's really, really funny. Like, it gives this idea that, like, after this fight is over, that she's immediately gonna go sit down somewhere and just read through all of those books, like, immediately. Or that she can't help herself but read the books whilst she's fighting. Like, I think it's a fun character design idea to show that she loves books. And of course, as I already sung my praises for it, but shooting, you know, is it like, it shows a castle when she flicks her hand out. So I want to say it's like a castle, like, pillar or spire. It's like shooting, I don't know, whatever it is she's shooting. Like, they look like arrows, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's an absolute genius idea for her to be shooting stuff out of her book. And I really love that she kind of has the books kind of stacked in her arms. But as a design, I think she looks innocent, which works. As I said earlier, she's a very innocent character, per Viper's admission, and she kind of just she looks very soft, if that makes sense. Like, the green coloring is not besides my beloved Viscous, no one else in this game is really green. And, well, I suppose Viper is, but Viper's design is work in progress. But let's not talk about her. Green isn't a very common color, at least amongst the Deadlock roster, and I really like the sort of combination of greens on her, like the sweater being, or a British person would call it a jumper, but A sweater is probably something the majority of you would recognize more, but I really like the turtleneck sweater. It looks quite big on her as well, which give a more cozy look to her. And I like that the stockings and the sweater are the same shade of green. Pardon me, I need to sneeze. Bless me. Trust me to sneeze in the middle of recording. But anyways, moving on. I really like the cut. Like, I like the shades of green. Like, almost everything besides her hair and glasses is a shade of green. Well, okay, her shoes are black, but grey, brown, brat. I mean, close enough shade, right? But yeah, I just like the combination of greens on her. She looks very cozy. She looks very soft. Looks very kind. Looks like the type of person that kids would love to hear a story from. And as it said in her description, she does actually read books to kindergartners. But yeah, I just think she looks like she doesn't look like a nerd. She just looks like a librarian. Do you get what I mean? Like I said earlier, she kind of just sounds like a librarian. The same goes for her design. She just looks it. Like if I saw someone that looked like this in a library, I'd be like, yeah, you'd spend like all of your time here. You only go home when it's like 10 p.m. in the evening, like because you just love reading books that much. The big round glasses are a bit of a cliche though. Like I know, like a book reader that wears big round glasses. Like, come on, guys, that's a very cliche thing. Funny enough, I will throw this up on screen, but like many of the new characters we got, such as Drifter, Doorman, etc., Paige's design was actually leaked in a dev stream, I think, back in May. In that original design for it, because it was a different design, she had more like angular glasses. Like, I don't know how to explain it. You'll see what I mean. I'll throw a picture up on screen, but they kind of at some point have changed her from having like angular glasses to rounder ones, and it's obviously because that is a more like nerdy character design. Like, not to say, oh, you wear round glasses, you're a nerd, you're 4 eyes. Like, you're not, but it is kind of a stereotype that nerds or book lovers, bookworms, etc. wear rounded glasses, but it does fit. I like how it looks on Paige. I think Paige is just kind of a cute, cozy design. It really works for what they're going for, which is a more innocent. She looks more innocent than the rest of the cast. Like, let's look at the character right before her, Mo and Krill. They don't look very innocent, do they? I mean, maybe I'm sure someone out there thinks Mo is very cute because he is a giant mole, and you know, moles can be cute sometimes, but for the most part they do look quite rugged, quite hardened, with dirty clothes and the such, whereas Paige is like, there's not a speck of dirt on her. She just looks pristine, kind, soft, etc. Yeah, I do like Paige's design. I know it may come off as negative, but I really like Paige's design, mostly because she's wearing green. Honestly, green is my favorite color, so she was always going to have a bit of a, you know, there's a slight edge in front of most other characters. I mean, why do you think I keep singing my high praises for the Viscous? It's just Green Slime Man. I think he's awesome. But yeah, I really like Paige's design. She looks cute. She looks cozy. She looks like the sort of person that, you know, you would find in a library. It's just a hunch, you know. I'm sure you understand what I mean. Sometimes you just kind of get that feeling that someone looks like they belong in a library, and Paige is one of those people. But yeah, with all of that said, and all of my praise high sung and done and dusted, this is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined, or did enjoy it up until this point. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good evening, afternoon, morning, etc. And the next video in this series will be the time-related... is she actually time-related? I don't know. Either way, I'm going to say time-related thief, the stealer of fine arts and anything and everything rich, Paradox.